Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash Comps. Today I bring you the full Frost team, featuring the new DLC character Amelia. She is the Frost Queen that is apparently the mother of the princess that got captured, starts the whole story, but I'm not going to go into that. Let's just get into the character themselves. They have a unique passive ability, Eldritch. When you play a spell that costs 2 or more energy, you gain 1 Spell Sword. Spell Sword I think is also only available on Amelia. There might be other ways to get it. I think there's an item that does it. But what Spell Sword does, gives you plus 2 damage per charge, minus 1 damage taken, maximum 5 charges. So this can let you do a good amount of damage if you're playing spells that cost 2 or more energy, which is kind of hard because it's like 2 on the first turn and second turn maybe. Depending on how many energizes you have on your team. So we are going to be going down the path of Regal Cold, where the next 3 spells she does damage to the highest HP monster and suffers some frost. It's not the most impactful passive here, but it's still pretty good. Arcane Reflux is also pretty good, but it's weird because you reduce the highest cost of the spell card in your hand with cost of 3 or more by 1 until end of turn, so you can make a Shatter cost 2, which is pretty good. I don't think this one's bad at all, but the fact that it only lasts 1 turn makes it somewhat hard to play around and set up, and I felt this was more fitting for cold. We're also going to be going with Frost Swords, because, more cold, gotta do that. Reduce the cost requirement of Eldritch to 1 or more energy. This lets you pull it off a lot more often. However, the damage is reduced to 1 instead of 2 per charge, and then when you reach 5 Spell Swords, put a Frost Discharge into your hand, which is very similar to a unique card, Eldritch Discharge, which does damage based on your Spell Sword. It also purges your Spell Sword. But I think Eldritch Discharge does more damage in general. Just because it has the multi-hit attack, and especially if you're going with Evelyn, you're going to be able to use the enchant weapons to make it frost. She also has Ice Palace, so all heroes can gain block whenever you gain Spell Sword. It's somewhat useful. You can kind of go a really good block build with Amelia, but that's not exactly what we'll be doing. And then you have Unlimited Blades or Time Paradox. I won't go too far into it, but I think Time Paradox is the better one if you don't have Time Loop yet, because it lets you shuffle all your Vanish cards into your draw pile again and reduces their cost by 3 and gives you 1 Inspire, so that can be very, very strong. As you can see, I have this full fitting Frost team. I put Zek up in front because I think that's pretty important for the roles that each character is playing. Zek used to be the fastest mage. Navalea is now technically the fastest mage, but she's also a warrior, so I'm not sure how much that counts. This is a kind of all-mage team, though Navalea makes this a lot easier than I would say the all-mage team was in the past. So I will say this is still a bit of a challenge run, because I did try to go all Frost. Using Magnus instead of Navalea probably makes this a lot easier. You could just go the cold bone route, enter the sewers with Zek's key, and I think overall your team would be a lot better. But that's not what I did. So, let's get into the perks. Perks for Zek. He's going to be up front, so he's tanking a lot. I have a lot of tanky perks on him. He has some shards and money. Everybody's going to be having full speed. He and Navalea both are going to have extra fast charges and extra slow charges. It's very important for these scrolls of speed that they're going to be using. And he's going to have a mark, just because he can mark sometimes. I wanted to go more frost damage and chill on Zek, but I just didn't find the space to. So this was as much as I could manage. He also has a wet charge, a powerful charge, and he has Inspire on this hero. Our maximum charges is 1, but he draws 2 cards for Inspire. We don't have a ton of Inspire on the team, so I thought that this would be pretty useful just generally for us, and it actually definitely was. I would recommend doing it. For Navalea, the second latest DLC character, she's going to be having a lot of money. She's not going any resistances. She's not in front, so it shouldn't be as bad. Plus, she's just automatically more tanky, being part warrior. She has max speed, because we need every bit of speed we can get. Like I said, she's got the charges, other mark. She's going full block, some fortify, vulnerability charges increased, and a little bit of crack, because I had 1 extra perk point. She's also going to be applying full chill, so we can get chill up as much as possible. Chill on enemies will also reduce blunt resistances by 0.3% per charge, just so she can do more blunt damage in the late game. We have wet charges as well, because everybody's going to need to apply as much wet as possible. And then Evelyn, she's got a little bit of tanky resistances because Evelyn's very squishy, so she dies a lot. Got a lot more shards, got energy, of course. We also had spare perks on Evelyn, so maximum charges of vulnerable is increased by 1, and then they only get reduced by 1 until end of turn, which is very useful because we don't have a lot of ways to apply vulnerable. She will be our main DPS alongside Amelia, so she has maximum powerful charges that you apply plus 1. I hope to have her apply powerful to the majority of the team, either through the insulate card that she can get or through items. She's going to be applying chill as much as possible. The other ones, they're neat, but they're not super useful, so I'm not going to be going down that route. And then just maximum damage. She's got wet charges, and then inspire on the second turn. I think I wasn't able to give inspire to Navalea, but she was just very limited on perk points, having to go full block. So, on to Amelia. She's going to be going full money. I'm just going to let her be squishy. I'm hoping that she blocks enough for herself that it's not a huge problem. That said, I wasn't able to commit any perks to block. I just didn't have the space, but I did commit 1 to fortify charges since she will have starting fortify charge cards. I also have the wet charges and the big one where wet on enemies also increases the cold damage taken by 1 per charge. This is very important for the team to do any amount of solid damage, especially in the early game. And the late game. It's just, yeah, that's a necessary perk. We also have powerful charges on this here is increased by 2. Charges are instead reduced by 1 at the end of turn. That's mainly for the late game, but it's not too bad in the early game since she will lose powerful less often. I thought about going the other powerful charge, but I just didn't have a lot of like powerful appliers on this team, so I wasn't sure how common that would be. This might be better for the early game though, and she could do a ton of damage with it. I would say this would probably be the easier way to like finish off the early game, but it really depends on your deck and how you set it up. With all of that said, I think we can get into the pre-recorded video. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Pre-recorded video. Yeah. All right, so we enter our shop. I had to pre-record a video because I needed to find a shop with either slippers or fast boots because this team is too slow and takes too much damage otherwise if they don't go fast enough. So that is why you see me in a pre-recorded video, because I had to re-roll a bunch to find the right items and a decent route too, but mainly I was looking for items. I actually used my second best route for this one because I didn't expect this run to win. I was just going to use it to test out going a little further because I'd been dying a lot in Act 2. Or Act 1 actually. So this is pretty similar to the all mage team in the sense that like it dies fairly quick if you don't face the right enemies or if you don't have a speed item. But with the boots, Zek will be at 20 speed. I got it on Zek rather than Navalea so that I could have the Forest Crown on Navalea so she could be faster later. And I didn't want to double up on the fast charges. So we do plan on going south to face the Dryad. I wanted to go up and get the hatch. There is a new rift that can lead down to the Dryad after doing the hatch. Unfortunately, I didn't have it on this run, but the seed's still pretty good. So we are forced to go down. Let's see, I'll turn on the music here a little bit. But we have the nice frost skins on all our heroes here. Not too much to be said, we just have to focus the right targets. The farmer needs to die because the farmer likes to heal up enemies. The corn won't slow it. Funny enough, like the champion corn actually isn't the worst for us to face. It's really annoying to face the regular burnt corns because they will shackles 2 people, whereas the champion corn never does that on their first turn. They just let their passive go off, so we can allow that to lean a time and not have problems. The boars are one of the bigger problems for us because they can apply a lot of bleed alongside the sheep actually. But thankfully all these enemies were slower than us to begin with, so we didn't have too much to worry about. You want to avoid squirrels if you can, because squirrels can mess up your whole timing, go before you, and hurt us a lot. I was able to pick up an Inspired Power. I don't know if I went over the decks, but you could pause at the beginning and see all the decks that I bought. I did have pre-built decks at this point because I needed to just have them going on. Grimoire Flames, not too useful, even though we could enchant weapons on Evelyn a little bit later. It's just a little bit too much to have to work around, and I don't think it's that impactful, even if you do. So, wouldn't be terrible to have a purple one, but it's really not the best. We take out the spider here because the spider likes to slow and shackle. The burnt corn may or may not do that, so I want to kill the corn if I can. We do get the kill on the corn and the boar as well, so now what we had to do is take the farmer's damage. What's nice about this, rather than the old All Mages team, is that we are able to have some block, so this is just a lot better. We also are able to pick up more rain on Navalea, because Navalea has access to double the rain cards, and yeah. Amelia has a special interaction with these rifts. These rifts have these special enemies. The guy in back is a real jerk, but Amelia will weaken and slow all these enemies, which is very nice because they are super damaging and also highly resistant to cold. I think they start out with a base of 85% resistance to cold, so we don't do a lot of damage until we apply some wet charges. Or maybe, no, it's 58 right now. Okay, maybe that's later in the game. But they can do quite a bit. We get him down to 2, but unfortunately they reduce the aura charges. Or the curse charges on them, so I thought that the 2 bleed would finish off the back guy, but it didn't, and as you can see, he slows us down to the point where they all go first on the second turn, which hurts us quite a bit. I had to retry this fight, I think, 2 or 3 times before I actually, came up with a win condition. The small rift enemies, they have a move where they basically go boom like the imp does, except they flee instead of explode, but they will do massive damage to, I think, just 1 or 2 heroes, essentially just guaranteeing the kill if they're squishy heroes at all, which all of our heroes are fairly squishy, so yeah. Here I'm just trying to figure out my damage, how I could kill the most enemies at once. I don't expect to get the kill on all 3. I'm not looking for the excellent here, I'm just looking for the win. If I could get the excellent, that would be great, but yeah, not something I could expect to get, unfortunately. So we took a lot of damage, but these enemies do have a really cool loot reward afterwards, as they give you some unique items that weren't in the game before. Thinking about what to do on Navalea, whether I take a transmission or a barricade, because I want more block, but I also want her to be able to support more. So here's some of the unique items. We have the Frozen Orb, which is really, really nice. We get more damage and chill, which, you know, we need. So it's worth taking on these enemies that are a bit resistant to us and hard, because we get some extra rewards because of it. War Banner is also really good. It gives us powerful on Evelyn. That'll give the entire team 4 powerful. So I give the Frozen Orb to Zek, so he can... Now I give the Rift Shards to Zek. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, that was so fast. Can I go back at all? Yeah, Eldritch Wand does all damage plus 2. You also get more Frost and Insanity charges, and whenever you play a spell, apply Frost and Insanity to a hero. So, or sorry, to a random monster. So we can apply a lot more Frost this way. I thought about getting the gloves on Amelia, but I decided that the War Banner was going to be a little bit better. The Frost Orb going to Navalea I think makes a lot of sense, since the Quill is actually a pretty good card on Evelyn. Means that she gets to draw a card for every book that she plays. And then War Banner is, of course, something that I want to take on Evelyn, because she has the most powerful charges, so we all start with 4 powerful. Eldritch Wand is going to be a nice increase in damage. We're not taking the Rift up. We want to go the way that we went. And then we do have another Slippers here, which is extremely lucky in the Otis loot pile. So we get up to purple Slippers on Zek, so now he's at 22 speed, which is faster than any Act 1 enemy. And we want to go up and fight the battle, or one more battle, so that we could potentially level up. Unfortunately, hypothermia making them all resistant to frost, and us having more chill applied to us is not something I wanted to face. I didn't feel like I could win if I went that route, so I decided not to do it. This run in general has a really good damage curve. It's just that it's hard to take any damage. We don't have any healing, so our only source of damage mitigation is really block. And if Navalea doesn't get some block cards, which is kind of hard for her to do since she has 2 scrolls of speed in her starting hand, we're not going to be able to do 2. We're going to take permanent damage, and then in the next fight, it's just going to get a lot harder. So here I'm trying to conserve as much HP as possible. I felt like I had enough damage between Evelyn and Amelia to potentially get the kill on both, but I think I was wrong about that. Yeah, because I could have done more hits with Navalea, which would have been better. Nope, I was completely correct. Amelia's doing a lot. Cool. So we get a purple clear instructions, a lot of purple sharpens too. I figure that clear instructions can lead to a decent skill reduced by 2. So since Navalea is supporting, it might be interesting to try. Winter is Coming is an interesting one. It's a way that we could apply more frost a lot more quickly, so we could reduce resistances better if we have the chance, but it also gets rid of our wet charges, which will lower our damage, our flat damage overall, so it's kind of the 50-50 on like whether it's going to be useful or not, but it can apply a decent amount of slow as well. So here I'm going for the Regal Cold. On Evelyn I took the enchant weapon. Zek is having his, technically I think it's better than Amelia's enchantment, where his does cold damage to a mana monster. It also lasts 3 charges, and it draws you a card every time you play a spell, so it's just better. I think it does like slightly less damage, and it doesn't apply frost to yourself, but like, yeah, that's not a huge deal when most of your damage is coming from wet anyways. And, yeah, and drawing you a card is just so big, but that's okay. I think her level 2 that I took is on the weaker side, but it is still just extra damage, so can't complain too much about it. Here, fighting the champion Dryad is kind of nice because we don't have to focus it on turn 1 and 2. It's not going to do a huge Starfall attack on us immediately, so we have the chance to ignore it for a bit, focus the other enemies, and hopefully get the kills on them. Here, I do have quite a bit of damage though, so I think I'll be able to kill them both. Yeah, round 2. We're going to be doing excellence a lot of the time. I did take the Chain Lightning on Evelyn here because I thought that it could be good. I don't think it actually was that good. Ice Lance is something I wanted to do on Navalea, but I also just needed her to block and slow and do a bunch of other things, so I'm not sure it was the right call to take it. I don't think it was. I think I have to get rid of it later. But here Zek is going first, so he scrolls with speed Navalea. Navalea will scroll with speed Zek, or Evelyn and Amelia. If Navalea is going faster, Navalea scrolls with speed Zek, if he doesn't have the fast boots, and then Zek will scroll with speed Evelyn and Amelia, so it's really only important that Navalea goes very fast. The rest of the team can take some more tanky armors as long as they're not too slow, because we don't have a lot of ways to apply slow outside of Evelyn, so Evelyn needs to stay fast, whereas Amelia could probably go as slow as she wants, since Evelyn will be applying a lot of frost. This fight overall isn't too challenging. The Forest Dryad doesn't have the most resistances to frost, and we can just knock it out immediately. She just killed Navalea, which was honestly kind of for the best, because Navalea was at such low HP, she was going to die in a fight later on, probably. And now she'll be at higher health. You get an unstable power on Amelia, which is kind of nice. I wanted to get unstable powers in my decks, I just didn't have them at first. Forest Crown on Navalea here is very nice. We even have Icy Wand Purple on Zek, so he's going to do a bit more frost. And I pick up Cart on Amelia because that will give her an extra draw every 2 turns, which seems decent. Here I do take the what's it called, the Corruptor again. We do get a heal after the Dryad fight, which is pretty good. It allows us to sort of, I don't know, what's it called? I guess I didn't have to have Navalea die. I don't know, there wasn't really a way to stop her from dying, so it was kind of just out of luck there. But I forget what we're getting out of this. Maybe removing a card? Or maybe it's just money. It was on screen a second ago, but it's out of my mind now. Here, of course, we're focusing the Dryad again, because the non-champion Dryad is something scary, where they will heal the entire team and speed up the entire team. Enemy team, that is. Which might make them faster than us on turn 2, which we really can't afford, because we can't afford to take 2 rounds of damage. Zek dies here, but, you know, it's all for the cause. Prismatic Field is that card that can apply powerful if you have the right upgrade for it. Ice Barrier does come in, not Navalea's, but Amelia's deck. Yeah, we did have the remove card here, so Zek dying was actually preferable. I wanted him to die. That way he could have a little bit more health at this next fight. We use the Moonstone. I don't know what Amelia's option here is. I don't think it's that good, but taking away the Dryad so we don't have to focus it down immediately does save us a lot of damage. It lets us focus just all of our stats and damage on the front guy, as well as hitting Yelmer for a bit more. We don't want Trenty to be able to go, I think it's called Trenty, because if he does, he can apply shackles to the team. So we need to do as much damage as possible, and Eldritch Blast will be able to do that. We kill the front tree so we don't get shackles. Here I expect I just have to fight through the thorns. I don't really expect to live too much longer on that. though it doesn't look like I have the best hand for it. So sometimes you can just blast through the thorns. I felt like I probably could have here, and looks like I'm going to try, but I don't want to have people die if I can afford it. So I think Evelyn will survive here. No, we just get the kill. Yeah, turn 2 kill, not a problem. Flash Freeze I think is actually really excellent. Having an upgraded Tome of Intellect would be great for her as well. Evelyn can pick up a Mana Gem. She needs more energy, it's great. Icicle Barrage seems good for Zek. It'll let him have a few more spells, a few more Frost applications, so with Icy Wand especially, why not? Tome of Intellect is something I want in Navalea because it's a good support card, but I also wanted to try out Cold Snap. I felt like Cold Snap I could get potentially really nice cold card and have her combo off a little bit more in the beginning, but that honestly wasn't meant to be because having the Scrolls of Speed the whole time for the whole speed manipulation just takes up too much of the hand. And yeah, we go to the Iceland next. Now, I originally wanted to go... I wanted to go up. I wanted to go fight the... or go to the armory. Or I wanted to go into the sewers, maybe pick up Cold Bone, and get the Reinforce. That's not going to be possible. Unfortunately, the enemies here just hard counter me. Here, I do find a Dimensional Crystal. I'm going to pick that up on Amelia. It will give it, or it will make it so that the spell card that I play first in combat will be doubled. So if I can play a really good spell card first, I can have 2 of it played, and let's just say it's very, very strong. It's kind of like a mini Mirror of Cassandra if you're able to play your cards right and are supporting a particular mage a lot, which I was on this run. So we upgraded Unstable Powers. I was feeling with 2 Mana Gems on Evelyn that I had enough energy to probably have Unstable Power cost 1 and draw. And then we were just doing a little bit of housekeeping for the rest of our decks. Navalea is the hardest one for me because she just has a lot of cards that I want her to play. As for books, I do want to do book combos if I can, where we have Tome of Intellect into the Bookworm, so we can find more books in our deck, so we can play our Scrolls of Intellect, and that'll let us play more books when we have the damaging item. I do get Winter's Night's Tale on, or the ink weapon. I'll show it later when we beat the dragon. I do pick up Winter's Night's Tale on Evelyn. It's one of the better damage cards with Mana Gem, because she'll have more often than not a decent amount of energy to play Winter's Night's Tale and then play whatever high cost cards get reduced in her hand immediately. So I did also want Entrench, or I wanted more crack application, but I pick up Entrench because that was all I could really afford, and it'll give us a little bit more block, a bit more survivability. She can at least play at turn 1. And once she gets her passive, the Scrolls of Speed, if she draws Entrench and the same hand on turn 1, should reduce the cost of Entrench by 2, meaning that we can play Entrench for 2 and then potentially play something else like a Barricade. So, pretty good. One last thing to get rid of, I need to get rid of that other Shadow Bolt, no point in having it, and then I did get rid of the Cold Hands in Navalea's deck because it's not too useful. Full disclosure, I did try a few different routes here. I was unable to go up because... up has 2 immune to Frost enemies, and then I eventually have to fight bunnies at the purple event up there before I can get to the armory. There's a rift going, leading from the very bottom section in the bottom right corner, you can kind of see it, goes up to the armory, which would be great, except I didn't have 1,000 gold, and I didn't want to save 1,000 gold just to use the rift and go to the armory and get Icebreaker for Navalea, letting her do a lot of damage with Tremors and Crack. That was the original plan, so I was opting to go for the second path where we go into the sewers, but the sewers is guarded by bunnies. The double bunnies are still faster than us, unfortunately, because we didn't get any other speed items for Navalea. She caps out at exactly 23, and bunnies are 24. But unfortunately, they speed up the entire team, and they will make it so that we take a bunch of damage, and then 2 bunnies in a row is far too much for us to handle. We just die to the second bunny, and that means we can't enter the sewers to get Cold Bone Goblet, so our only option is to go up into the middle, or through the middle, which gives me none of what I wanted. We do take Hatch here, so that we could potentially get a Purple Blizzard on Amelia, since she is our main damage dealer, and since she has the Dimensional Crystal. that seems like a really good win condition for wiping out a bunch of enemies at once. I think I won't have to pause the videos anymore, but I'm going to let this fight play out. This fight was pretty challenging. I think I had to try 2 or 3 times. What's funny is like the first time I had tried just going up with the team, this fight ended up being not too much of a problem. I beat it first try without taking too much damage. But I guess the card order shifted a little bit, maybe because I got rid of the other cold hands or something, and it ended up being a much tougher fight than it was previously. The front guy being immune to chill is really annoying because it means he will get to go first on the round 2, or not first, but he gets to go essentially instead of just die. And on round 2, he does a huge AoE bleed attack, and our entire team takes a bunch of damage. Now, unfortunately, we're also dealing with hatches, which means that we're taking a lot of damage, and yeah. I didn't play this fight perfectly, I feel like, because I could have just killed, or not killed one of the enemies and then let the hatches go off without the spiders being alive, but I failed to do that. I had a hard time finding the right cards to even kill these guys, so I needed to kill the front guy because he was about to go. And look at that, all 4 spiders just coming out on the field. We're just drawing into all the hatches at the perfectly wrong times. I think, yeah, just the hatches never came up in their first turns, and then they came up all in the second turn, so. We also didn't draw our flash freeze for the guy in front, which would have been nice. We do get a Dark Ritual here, upgraded on Zek. I have been using those, so I figure having more energy will be nice. We have a little bit of block to use the Dark Ritual with, which is something that we didn't really have on the previous all Mage run, so I appreciated that. Now, we're all extremely badly damaged on this fight, so I have to play this one pretty carefully. I don't take the Corruption modifier because I just don't think I could win if I take it. Or at least if Amelia dies, like, I think I lose. We need both our damage carries alive in Evelyn and Amelia, and since we're mainly supporting Amelia, like, we need her to survive no matter what. Now, Evelyn also has a yellow shatter, which does damage to the entire enemy team based on the amount of frost that they have. Here you can see me reload because I accidentally played Ice Lance first, forgetting that I had the Dimensional Crystal. So I double up on Shatter rather than doubling up on a silly little Ice Lance. We unfortunately don't get the kill, but we are able to keep Amelia alive and long enough to deal her damage. And I'm hoping to get the kill with Zek here, so I don't have to play or have him die and have a death's door. Amelia is at 1 HP, but there is an inn in the very next node, so I'll be able to heal up. And yeah, I thought about shifting scroll for Zek there, but I thought he didn't need it. If we had 400 gold, we could heal up to full. That was my preference, but I didn't remember how much gold I needed. It was 400, which is a real shame. Not that I was planning to go this route in the first place. I ended up just going this route after I had like given up on this run. I was going to go do the other run where I had a much better node leading from the hatch down to the Dryad, which is like probably the optimal route. Just getting in experience and damage consistency. Yeah, it just would have been much better. On that route, I didn't have slippers. I had the steadfast boots, so Navalea would have had even more speed, and she'd actually be faster than bunnies too in the next land. So yeah. There's also the option not to go to the Frostland first, which I think is actually a pretty good option. I'd have to recommend not going here first, since you can fight just... well, I guess it doesn't really matter too much. You can fight bunnies no matter what. And the enemies here aren't too crazy. I mean, I guess the Rat King is kind of difficult, and you probably have a better chance of beating the Rat King if you come here second, because I don't think the team I had could beat the Rat King. We are doing a lot of damage still. Shatters are our main damage source, as you might think, with the Frost team, because we have just a bunch of Frost application. So I'm trying to take advantage of that as much as possible, alongside Wet. I did want Squall, but I wanted Squall on Evelyn, not on Amelia, because I wanted her to be applying the Wet and Frost, or Evelyn to be applying Wet and Frost, and I wanted Amelia to be doing the damage. We take the Magic Amplifier here. We are going to take the Versatile and Evelyn. She'll have a lot more block that way, which will let her survive a little bit more. And then she could have some Dispel and potentially upgrade her Powerful. Here I take the Frost Swords because the cost requirement of Eldritch being reduced by 1 seems like it could help out, but mainly so I could get the Frost Discharge more reliably, which would just be an extra damage card. Time Loop is also a decent option here. I just wanted Frost Charge to be a little bit easier for me. We are able to sell our Moonstone here. I don't plan on using it later, so we get an extra, I think it says 500 gold, but we actually get like 250 gold. It's not a great. We are going to take the right route so that we can at least pick up the key, because if I'm not going to get to go the route that I want at all... Oh, by the way, we have Shock Nova in Navalea's deck. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that was our other source of slow outside of Piercing Howl. So Navalea has a few ways to slow, but unfortunately her deck is so thick now that I think it's just unlikely that she gets them, which is fault on my part. I think I was just trying to have too much be done with her in helping hands and everything else. And I really should have streamlined her as a support build, but again, initially I wanted her to be doing frost damage alongside Zek and Evelyn, because this is the full frost team, so like, why do it if you're not going to go full frost? This fight is a little bit challenging because the front guy can deal damage through block. He's also immune to vulnerability, so we're not applying as much as I would like. Zek's passive comes up immediately here, though, because he has 8 dark, so all the cards in his opening hand were reduced by 1. He's able to draw through a lot, and he can do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, the spikes are really hurting us here. I have Zek die because I want him to be at higher health in the next fight, so I intentionally attack into the frost. We also are removing a card, I believe. So, not only will he be at higher health, but he won't have a Death's Door in his deck. I could have used that to remove another card, but this seemed fine. And we take a Blizzard here. I find an upgraded Entrench, which is great. I do find an upgraded Squall as well, which is also great. And I unfortunately don't get a Blizzard first turn for a bit here, which would be really nice since I could double up on it, and I usually have enough energy with a 1 transmission, but we don't have a lot of Inspire, so Amelia isn't drawing a ton in the first turn, even though I'm keeping her deck very thin. She has the minimum card count for, I believe, like the entirety of the run, at least after every town. Of course, I have to pick up some cards in between. So here we do find transmission. Realistically, I probably could have gotten rid of Navalea's Vengeance and other support cards, but I really wanted her to do more damage, but without Icebreaker, it's really not going to be a lot. So I think I made a mistake here in just trying to keep Navalea as a damage carry. Like I said before, having Magnus do the Cold Bone carry would probably be just significantly better. I don't think there's... yeah, like, I don't think there's a lot of reasons that Navalea needed to be on the team other than she is the only other one who, like, has cards to deal with Frost. But if you're not using them, are you really dealing with Frost? Here we do get to double up on our Flash Freeze, so we only have one other enemy to deal with. We unfortunately do snipe Navalea, so Navalea is going to have a Death's Door in the deck. But we're able to recover from that pretty well thanks to the Flash Freezes, freezing both the front guy and the back Lamia, who likes to silence our heroes. So fairly lucky in that regard. The hatch, unfortunately, also comes out at a terrible time, and I forget that this one has just significantly more health than regular hatches, but we do have a nice Blizzard turn here with Eldritch Discharge as well. The front guy being immune to Frost is again really annoying. We are able to get up our Spell Discharge though. Eldritch Discharge does more damage, even though the Frost Discharge has Spell Sword reduced by 1. Unfortunately, Zek also has to die here. Yeah, that fight was just a mess. I take up Frost Nova on Zek because it's another way to slow. It does a good amount of frost damage, so it should help having a purple one. Here, I can't fight the Rat King, so I just upgrade my Quill to be purple. It does give you 1 extra draw and 1 extra Inspire on a random hero, which is pretty good. I suppose a little bit more damage to all damage, I think, so it gives you +2 to all damage instead of +1. It's just a decent pick for purple, especially because I already had purple weapons on my other heroes. And yeah, that's really it. And I think I was planning to get rid of Zek's weapon because he's going to be our bookman later on. Here we are able to do a lot of damage really quickly thanks to drawing our Winter's Knight's Tale. So we apply a bunch of Frost. I'm hoping to get Flash Freeze again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to kill with Blizzard, but I do have the double Blizzard, so I make sure to play Rains before the second one. We are able to kill most of the enemies, and then the front guy I knew was just going to be a huge blocker, so I didn't have to worry about it too much. So I could have double entrenched here, made sure I took no damage, but I don't think I was going to take any damage anyway. I surprisingly don't do the damage on the guy because it actually calculates the damage incorrectly if you do the Frost Wave. We get a nice upgraded Winter Orb tail. Blah. Winter's Orb here, not Winter's Orb's tail. That's Winter's Knight's tail. And we have the remove card again, so we were able to get rid of the Death Swords that we picked up earlier. The Frost Dragon, I wasn't really too worried about, except I thought I might need to heal in case his Blizzard insta-killed me. And I didn't draw any slow cards with Navalea, which I didn't. So that was my first fear was confirmed, and thankfully Amelia survives. So at this point, we're going to be able to slow him and go before him on round 2. And I wasn't too worried about that, even though he has I think he has like 85% frost resistance. We apply so much chill that we go through that in a second. And then we're also going to have a lot of wet charges on him, so we'll have a decent amount of base damage. We're able to double up on Blizzard once again, so my poor luck earlier is at least paying off now because we are getting essentially one of our better cards doubled up. And once we have Evelyn on Spell Echo, we can triple up on it, which that I am very much looking forward to. Here we have to take some zero cost cards because I did want to play Squall and Shatter with Evelyn. I felt like that would just be the most damage, and I think I was right. We get him down to 238 HP, which with Navalea's other passive card and Geyser or Winter Orb. Winter Orb doesn't do anything because it's based off block, but yeah. We take care of the dragon, no problem. We are able to get an upgraded Squall again on her, but instead there's also upgraded Winter Orb on Amelia, so that seems much better. I take a Mass Invisibility because those have very clutch uses sometimes. I take a Tome of Intellect on Zek because I want to upgrade it so that we can have him play books with Freezing Ink. Freezing Ink is a very important item in this run. Whenever you play book, deal 6, I think it's called Frost, Cold. 6 cold damage, apply 2 chill and 2 wet to all monsters. Since he has more wet and chill charges, it's even more. I think it's like 3 each, and then he also just does more frost damage, so very, very good. Definitely getting rid of his starting weapon. I take up Bloodstone on Navalea because she does apply bleed sometimes, and she can heal off of it now, which I need her to heal because she's taking a lot of damage all the time. Frozen Tear is just another way. It's one of the few ways to have a ring give you cold and chill damage, which is great. I take Feyborg Scales on Amelia because she's going to be applying a lot of chill, of course, but also she doesn't really care about the slowdown from it, since Evelyn will be applying so much chill to the entire enemy team, at least that's the hope, that I'll be able to go first with Amelia anyways, alongside the Scrolls of Speed. I do pick up Rifty on Amelia. I figure having another pet here is pretty good. Having the Squirrel has been really nice on Evelyn. It allows us to just deal that little bit of extra damage every turn. Geyser hasn't been too useful, so I experimented with it, got rid of it. Didn't really feel like, even with the enchant weapons, that it was that great. And then there's a Red Steel Cloak here, which I do want for Navalea so that she can actually be fast enough to outspeed bunnies, because bunnies are a real problem for us, but I also didn't want to spend the gold on it if I was going to pick up another armor later on. It was a very tricky proposition for me. We are finally upgrading Zek's other Rain that he picked up much earlier from just a card pull. And I'm being very careful to keep Amelia's deck down. Amelia has picked up some really good cold cards though, the Purple Blizzard being one of them. And I go even further into it because I want Shifting Scroll in her deck so that she can have her best card turn 1, or her best spell turn 1 more often. I should have upgraded Shifting Scroll here, but I think I was cautious because I didn't know how many other cards I wanted to upgrade. There are a few things I wanted to do. One of the things I wanted to do was get Tome of Intellect, and I wanted to do the Bookworm, which I'm like trying to find here, I think. But I'm not going to be able to afford Bookworm anymore, at least not the one that starts in your opening hand, alongside the Tome of Intellect that starts in your opening hand. So Zek won't be able to get off all 3 charges of Frozen Ink turn 1, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, going up is a... going up is a spell, or a Lamia who likes to silence the entire team on turn 1, and she's immune to Frost, so I was just like, nope, don't think I can do that. Going in the middle, there's a bunny, so I needed to buy that speed cloak if I wanted to go down the middle. Mainly I wanted to go up so I could go to Navalea's main weapon area. If she goes to the merchants at the very top, they will tell her a secret path to get to a special weapon that only she can get. But in order to do that, I have to go down. Now, thankfully, there is a route without a bunny or a chill immune Lamia, which, yeah, I think they also have a high amount of frost resistance, so they'd be really annoying to take down with chill immunity. So, thankfully, I go down, but I don't get to go up and get some of the other potential rewards. I also didn't know what I was going to get. I thought I might get like a bunch of free shop items if I used Navalea's speech check, but that wasn't what it ended up being. It ended up being something very good, but not necessarily for this run. Or it wasn't the best thing that Navalea could have gotten on this run. It would have been great if she had, I don't know. No, never mind. Wouldn't have been great. Yeah, no, just, it wasn't a super worthwhile trip, but I was learning as I was going along. Here we did find a Book of Nightmares off of our random book skills, so I was able to do frost or enchant weapon on Evelyn instead of doing it on Amelia, so that she could do more damage, and then we could support fully with 10 energy and stealth. And we have so much AoE that stealth doesn't really, so much AoE and random, I should say, that stealth doesn't really like matter to us too much. We're getting some good pulls on Amelia more and more now. Like, not only do we get that purple blizzard, but we now have another yellow shatter. So, I mean, doubling up on yellow shatters or on, what's it called? The purple blizzard seem really good to me. Oh man, what if we found a purple shatter? That would have been great. I just thought about that. Here we're able to play Entrench on Navalea, thankfully, because we have enough mage cards in our opening hand, so we can get our 5-cost Entrench down to 1 cost, thanks to magic duality. Meaning we can play all our cards and block for a bit, as well as have a bit of Fortify. So we'll be able to keep that block next turn, if any survives. Now, I do take double flash freeze here on Zek, because I didn't think I was going to have the damage to kill everybody, and now I don't have to have the damage to kill everybody. We did have hypothermia on, so their resistances are pretty high to chill to begin with. So that's why I didn't feel like my damage was going to be good enough, but yeah. I was very happy to get the Winter's Night's Tale on Zek and then get it off with the double stun. Here I really wanted a double stun on Amelia too, or I just wanted to be able to kill with a purple shatter. So I was just doing the math to see who would survive here. I didn't do the math correctly though, because I let the beetle live and the beetle actually survived. But when I say doing the math, I like just guesstimated. Didn't really like go through the full process of calculating out if I had the damage. I was like, that's probably enough if I do a little bit more. Silly me. Doesn't end up mattering too much. Zek just takes a little bit of extra damage thanks to the poison. And we're now playing a decent amount of block with Navalea every turn, that the Winter's orbs that have block scaling are doing a bit more damage than our non-block scaling Winter's Orb. We're also able to pick up a Mana Gem on Zek, so now he can play Winter's Night's Tale more easily as well. We pick up another Shatter on Amelia. This one will stay in the deck, and it's actually just the way I want it. I want 2 that go out of the deck and 1 that stays in. At least I thought that's what I wanted. Here we get another chance for Amelia to have a Purple Blizzard. This was just extremely lucky. I've never seen so many Purple Blizzards on a run. Because we're going to find more, don't worry. Here, though, even though I wanted to do it, like, Zek dies immediately. They unfortunately have the God combo of the Super Seahorse, the Champion Seahorse, plus the Act 3 Harpy. The Champion Seahorse likes to slow the entire enemy team. Doesn't always do that, but he will do Shock Nova, essentially. We are able to pull off Mass Invisibility, though, so we can survive, because a lot of their cards become useless and they couldn't target us with them. So, very, very lucky for us. Yeah. Between the Harpy speeding up everybody by 5 and then giving 3 evasion, and the Seahorse slowing everybody down by 4, we just couldn't go first, even on a chill team. Still, I think a second Purple Blizzard is going to be worth it, because we're going to be able to have more chances to have Purple Blizzard in our opening hand, which is very important for our Dimension Crystal. We didn't go at all last turn, so I was able to just wait for Purple Blizzard. Since we were all stealth, I wanted to maintain it. And we can get the kill in round 2, pick up another one, and now things should be a lot better. We also pick up a purple Scroll of Intellect on Amelia, which is just a free card, and a purple Dark Ritual on Zek. So here, Navalea forgives her people, or forgives the people, I don't know. I had wronged her. Here's another Purple Blizzard option. And at this point I was like, oh yeah, you know what, that seems decent in Zek's deck, why not? He's going to have Mono Gem turn 1. He can potentially play that if he wants to. Might be very good. No, it gets better. So yeah, we're able to pull off our books, at least 2 of them in the opening turn. Once we have the other bookworm, we'll be able to pull off another book, as well as always make sure that we have a Scroll of Intellect to power up either Amelia or Evelyn. Usually Evelyn I like to give the draw, because Evelyn can then support Amelia with her transmissions, and it works out very nicely. I was focusing on the Harp lady here, the Harp Sea Serpent, because the annoying thing to me is when they do a lot of, what's it called? They have the backlash damage. Unfortunately, I think that it would have been better if I focused the... No, the fire guy wasn't too bad, just he was unfortunately, he speeds himself up and is able to go again. So yeah, it would have probably been better if I let the Harp lady go, or actually just the Stone Golem go, and stunned the back Pyromancer. I didn't remember that he was going to speed himself up. Didn't think about that as a possibility. So was a little bit of a miscalculation on my part. Took a lot more damage than we had to. Would have definitely been better just to stun the other ones, but this is part of the nice part about, this is one of the nice things about having the stun card in general, is we're able to, God, double Purple Blizzard looks so good. Sorry. We are able to just stall a turn and get our turn 2 kill, which is our preference, as well as apply a lot of chill and wet and damage over time. So yeah, it's been very nice. We have the option for Tome of Intellect. I do kind of want it in Navalea's deck, but I don't want that version. I want the other upgraded version. So it's just a matter of what I want to take it right now. We are going to pick up Death's Embrace, which transforms all of Zek's damage to cold. Navalea doesn't really have a good option here. She's not super frost reliant, so we're going to be just going her resistance and immortality one, where she will revive for 1 turn and then be doomed. Spell Echo is of course what I'm going for Evelyn, because I want to Spell Echo on Amelia and get the Blizzard. Her Arcane Conduit isn't bad either, but it's not really what I was going for. And then Ice Palace is just useful, whereas the other one gives her mind damage, so Ice Palace will give her block and barrier for the entire team when she gets Spell Sword for 10 uses, which is pretty good. If we had block charges or barrier charges, it would be even better. Here I do unlock Fist of the Damned for the first time ever. It does give us a lot of chill and dark charges, and whenever you play a spell, you lose 10% HP and apply 1 crack to and 1 vulnerability to all monsters. Now, I do believe that it's not actually like a... Yeah, it's not 10% of your current HP, unlike the other percent HP cards. It's 10% of your HP, just flat, which is of your max health, which I think is just a little bit unclear, but I'm pretty sure that's how it worked later on, because I think it kills me at one point. We'll see. Still, having a way to apply vulnerability to the other enemies somewhat reliably, once we get a little bit more spells, will be very nice to have in Navalea's deck, since we are lacking on that a little bit. It's just AoE and vulnerability for her spells, so not to mention it would lower her HP to let her do more damage, but this is not the Navalea carry run that I did a little bit ago. This is full frost. Book of Nightmares here. We can change the we take the cold hands actually, because changing our damage to frost is sometimes just better. Like, it technically lowers our frost damage by 4, but like, since we want to do only frost damage, it's pretty good. And I stealth up the entire team and just let us all go again, and look, they can't do much of anything. I mean, the front guy does blast us for quite a bit, but we're able to survive it without taking too much damage. So even though we had a somewhat pitiful first turn because the cold hands actually ruined all of our support cards, we survived fairly well. Maybe I shouldn't have punched the front Iron Golem guy, especially now that I think about it with Frozen Ink. Zek could have taken a lot less damage here, which would have been better. The taunt on him is very annoying. We are able to double up on Blizzard though, And I could have Ice Palace, but I just knew I was going to need it because everybody's going to die. Doubling up on Blizzard feels very nice. It's very similar to like doubling up on one of the AoE cards as like the Warrior or Scout. Noxious Corruption seems cool, but it's not something I was going to do. Having a Death Sword removed is very nice. Could have had second more health, that would have been nicer. I do have the Last Stand in Navalea's deck now. I'm really not sure what cards I want to get rid of. I want her to apply wet, I want her to give draw, I want her to block, I want her to do everything. I get rid of the Drain Health card in Evelyn's deck because I just don't feel like I need it anymore. I was worried about her health at one point, but no longer. So yeah, we get rid of a Helping Hand here, I believe. Or Devastate. Devastate actually isn't that useful because it's not blunt damage, where we apply a lot of crack with Shatter, but we aren't going to be doing blunt damage if we don't have a weapon that transforms our damage, and I kind of like Fist of the Damned the more I thought about it. I just needed to make sure I had a bit more spell-focused of a deck. Now, thankfully we were able to give Zek Inspire turn 1. We generally want to do that since he will draw these 7. And the flow of our deck feels a lot better than it did in the past. We do need to kill this guy basically turn 2, the Necromancer that is, because if we don't, he's just going to kill our entire team. I do have the option of Mass Invisibility here, so I think about that as a potential like decent choice. It's kind of good, kind of bad. Like, they do a lot of AoE damage, so I didn't think it was going to protect us too much, and I wanted to be able to kill the clones because, well, not the clones, but the like super skeleton guy summons, because they just do too much damage for us to survive. I am able to double up on Shatter, which is nice, and I wanted to Ice Palace, but I couldn't Ice Palace and do my other Shatter, which unfortunately isn't going to get the kill. So I should have Ice Palace first because I wanted to do the other Shatter, but it wasn't going to get the kill, so I realized I probably should have just Ice Palace, and I don't know. Definitely played that a bit wrong. I don't think that was going to make a difference on Zek surviving, mind you. Maybe it would have, but I think he was just going to die to like poison or bleed or something. Winter's Knight's Tale is very nice for Evelyn. We can make sure we flash freeze if we want to get rid of the front guy and not have to worry about him. I wasn't sure if I was going to kill the Necromancer on turn 2, so I felt like might as well hedge my bets. Amelia does do a lot of damage, but I don't know if she does that much damage. We are getting block every time we apply Frost, though, so that is something to consider. Winter's Orb's Tale could potentially do quite a bit. Whether I wanted to do that plus Eldritch Discharge and have my double Winter's Orb's Tale, it was hard to say, but I think that ended up being the most damage. And then when I see the damage on both, I'm like, right, yeah, double Winter's Orb, or Winter Orb is pretty good. Now, we pick up a second win on Navalea, since that's just a good way for her to survive in late game, heal up, especially because she's taking damage every time she takes a spell, or plays a spell. I think about a second Flash Freeze here, because it gets useful, but the thing about Flash Freeze in Amelia's deck is that it's not going to be useful later on. We do get pretty lucky here. I mean, Architect's Ring we were always going to take. It was just going to be whenever you play a skill, get a random hero, Inspire, and Energize, which is pretty good. Mixed Salad is really good. It gives us an extra draw on someone every turn. And not to mention the other things it does, like Dispel or Transfer Curses, stuff like that. But mainly the draw is what I want it for. So, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but it's one of the best accessory slots in the game. The other cards, though, the other items I'm not too interested in. Now, we do want to take the middle route since we bothered to pick up the key. Here is a really difficult choice. Cloak of Speed, Cloud Song, and Eldritch Ring. I can afford Cloak of Speed and Eldritch Ring, or I can afford one Cloud Song. Cloud Song, of course, reducing the energy costs of our hand, of cards in our hand by 2. I wanted to get it on Amelia, but then I thought about it, and Amelia already has Dimensional Crystal, which doubles up the spell, which I want to keep. And Cloud Song would help us play all our cards because her deck is really expensive right now, but it would be too much. So I think Cloak of Speed plus Eldritch Ring is definitely the right call here. For every chill you apply 1 Insanity. It means that we could basically get monsters up to max Insanity, making them deal 50% less damage, which is the cap. So, and then Cloak of Speed is, of course, just a really good speed up item. It means that Zek can have a bit more survivability, or Navalea can have just good speed and have a ring that does something else useful later, so that she's a bit more tanky. That was the plan. we were able to pick up Pummel on Navalea, which is nice. I get rid of the Devastate because I didn't think I was going to be doing too much. Pummel will have like a good use case because we get up to 100 crack pretty easily. on all the enemies thanks to Shatter. But arguably you don't want it in her deck. And also arguably I should have bought Cloak of Speed and Eldritch Ring here instead of like thinking about not buying them because I want to remove more cards from my deck. Eldritch Ring on Amelia, of course, is what I was thinking about. I thought I might want the speed on her, but then I remembered that Evelyn is going second, so I don't need the speed on her. There are a lot of cards I want to remove, of course, so it's not like a terrible thing to be removing cards, but it's just not something I needed to do. I should remove Undying Will. I'm not going to need it in Navalea's deck. I should remove Pummel too if I wanted to go full support. Could get rid of the Pummel, could get rid of the other Intimidate, could get rid of yeah, a few other cards, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Would have been better for Navalea. But, you know, it's hard to say in the moment where you're just like, man, I want her to do damage. I want Frost, Blunt, and all chill cards to work. I keep the Curse of Exhaustions in Zek's deck. I change one to get rid of Speed because that'll be useful against clones potentially later on. And here, I think about getting rid of Ice Palace in Amelia's deck. She's not really going for the block build. I also think about buying Ice Barrier since I could go for the block build if I'm going to go with Ice Palace, and so I just do that instead. I make sure Transmission is going to stay in Evelyn's deck because I want her to be able to play that most of the time, or after multiple rounds. Not that I think enemies will last too many rounds if I'm able to play 3 Blizzards. But that would require me to get Spell Echo turn 1, so I need to keep Evelyn's and Amelia's decks really tight here. I do get rid of the Ice Skull despite it being a card that can trigger Spell Sword for cheap. I think about Flash Freeze for a while here in Amelia's deck. Doubling up on it still seems really good. It could save us in a lot of fights. Here I don't quite save enough money. I'm like 1 card remove short of buying Eldritch Ring, which is just dumb. Because I'm not buying anything else, I can tell you that much. Blackguard is really good though. I mean, I could get that on Zek, but I like him being fast right now. Being immune to Dark would be kind of bad since he would not get his passive where he loses, his cards cost less energy in his opening hand for every 8 Dark he has. But it would also mean that he can't be popped by Dark Explosions, which he is likely to do in the final fights. So here I want to go up, but we take the down route first because up is a little bit scarier with the flame boss going faster. And they just had a bit more scary of a team, whereas these guys were a bit less scary to me. We thankfully draw some Shock Nova. I wasn't sure whether I wanted Shock Nova or Tome of Intellect and Entrench. I choose the Tome of Intellect and Entrench plus the 1 Vengeance. Doesn't mean I can slow down an enemy by 1. With Evelyn, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Plus with Zek, it's actually less big of a deal. Now we're doing the full combo where we play 3 books every turn 1 on Zek, and then whatever other cards he has on top is just gravy. So we apply a decent amount of Wet and Frost to the entire enemy team. And Evelyn does a good job supporting as well. She does draw Spell Echo immediately. We want to give all the Inspire basically entirely to her now. We have Shifting Scroll upgraded in both Evelyn's and Amelia's deck now. So they can both draw the spells that we need. It's going to come up quite often. Here we only get a Shatter, which is still something. It's better than doubling up on a Rain or Icicle Lance. I'm still trying to look for Blizzard though. I do find Blizzard with the draw, so we are able to play 3 Blizzards, and that's just going to be that's going to be it. That's the end of the road. Push Forward is a very nice speed up card for the entire team on Navalea. Thought about Winter's Knight's Tale on Amelia, but she actually just has like really good Frost cards in her deck, and I don't think I need to, so I don't pick it up. Winter's Knight's Tale is, I don't know, I can't believe I'm saying this, it's not as good. I wasn't expecting to take so much damage from this fight straight away. These guys were just fast enough. I didn't draw any slow. They're in between the Zek and Navalea speed. At 23 speed they clock in at, and then they just hit Zek and Amelia a lot. So yeah, I was at full health at the start of this fight, and they just knocked me down a peg. Made it very scary, but I was pretty sure I was going to be able to kill them, at least on this round. The Geyser in Zek's deck is at least being somewhat useful. Applies more Frost, or converts the Frost charges to Wet. It's kind of a weird thing to have the Geyser plus the other card where you convert Frost into double Wet, and then Wet into double Frost, and then Frost into half Wet, I think is what it is. So you can do some silly stuff there. you know, just gets you back to where you started. Winter's Orb is what I'm able to double up on here, which is unfortunate. It's not Blizzard because I'm not able to get the kills here. Zek is just going to go down and die. Amelia almost dies, which is pretty scary because I don't know if I would have had the damage without her. Evelyn is dealing a decent amount, but it's not quite the same. And yeah, if only I had a mass invisibility, right? We did pick that up in Navalea's deck, by the way. If we'd had that turn 1, that would have been very clutch. Wouldn't have taken any damage from the... Or no, I think we actually would have because they're random, not targeted. They're not jump or anything. So ignore me. Time for the water. Alrighty, so we take the key, we go to the middle. I do want Citadel in Navalea's deck, but whenever we play a spell, apply 5 dark to us, could pop us very easily. They also gain plus 20% resistances, but I don't know. Removing cards would also be really good, because I do have Death's Doors in Zek's deck, and I might die like on Amelia or Evelyn, but a purple Citadel could save us a lot of headache in the late game, and I already have a Last Stand in Navalea's deck, which I can upgrade to make it so it costs 0 later. So she'll be able to block for at least a decent amount, which is all I'm looking for. We have Necropotence in Evelyn's deck now, which comes up nicely, so we can more easily get Spell Echo turn 1. I think it ups our odds by quite a bit, and also gives us a bunch of energy that we can play our better cards with, like Winter's Night's Tale and Shatters. We're also drawing into our Mono Gems, so yeah. Overall, Evelyn's kind of popping off here, and her pop-off is like very secondary compared to Amelia's pop-off if she has the right turn. Still, it requires the right turn. We're not giving her too much draw. She didn't get Blizzard turn 1. I'm hoping to find it here. I don't, but we do get a Flash Freeze, so I could triple up on Flash Freeze and just stun the entire enemy team, meaning they will do nothing. So we're fine. Other than the dark damage I'm going to be taking from the explosion. I have Winter's Orb as well, so... Winter's Orb. I keep calling it like it's Winter's Night's Tale, but I don't know. It's just staying in my head. We couldn't get the kill on all of them turn 1. We probably could have if we drew Blizzard. But, you know, who needs it? We do get the Blizzard on Zek, though, and, well, it does a lot of damage, too. Zek is also our Frost Mage. He's not drawing his Death Chill card, at all, which converts all his damage to Frost. Not that we're doing anything like but Frost damage, really. Still, could be nice. Push forward, again, is pretty good. I have another option for Mono Gem, but I take the Siphon Life on Evelyn, because I'm like, hey, that seems like it could be cool. I look at how Flash Freeze did that fight, and I'm like, man, I really want another one of those, because that saved me, but again, it's not going to be useful for too many more fights. Here, we do find Destiny, which is really, really solid. I do like Eldritch Wand at purple, but Destiny reducing the highest cost of your card by 4 means that we could potentially play a Blizzard and a Winter's Orb turn 1, or 2 Blizzards and a Winter's Orb turn 1 on Amelia, or potentially 3 Blizzards and a Winter's Orb, so that should wipe most things, and I figure Destiny is going to be really good on her. Yeah, that's just... Winter's Orb also costing potentially 0, seems very solid. This will up our damage by quite a bit. And it gives us plus 3 damage to everything anyways, so even though it applies less chill and frost, it seems really good. Ironclad, plus 25% resistances is annoying to go through, but not really so annoying for mages, especially mages that just apply a lot of charges, because they get reduced to like 95% of their resistances anyways. It's more so annoying for physical teams, because the reinforce gives them a lot. I mess up my turn order here, so I play the Tome of Intellect and Entrench, and that works out a lot better. Here I get the 3 books off. We get to apply a bunch of slow and wet charges to everybody, or chill and wet charges, which ends up being slow. And then we can stun any one character that we want with Evelyn. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Spell Echo turn 1, which is what I was hoping for. So we are just going to have to go for the straight kills on some of these enemies, as well as the potential stun on a difficult to deal with enemy. This fight was a little bit challenging because the back angel is... Well, it's more just that all of them are very damaging. We do get the double up Blizzard, but we aren't able to get the kill. Maybe if I had focused a little bit more on damage, I could have gotten the kill on more of the enemies. Unfortunately, if we attack into these enemies too much with a single character, we'll take a lot of damage thanks to the Angel's backlash. We are able to put a decent amount of block with Navalea, but I can't do an AoE attack with any of my heroes because they will just take too much damage and dark and explode. You can see, I think it's like, yeah, it's 11 dark when you hit them, so it's very easy to pop yourself if you hit more than one. Zek, though, I do have him hit multiple. I didn't need to have him do that. It was kind of silly because he could die in the very next fight. But yeah, at this point, the fight's over. We don't have to worry about their damage reflection anymore. We do find a purple reoccurring Book of Nightmares, which shuffles reoccurring nightmare into the deck. And then I find Necropotence on Amelia, which, oh my gosh, is amazing. Now we can potentially draw into all the cards that we want turn one and have a lot of powerful and a lot of energy. It's just going to be fantastic. Plus we can shuffle reoccurring nightmares into her deck, so she could have enchant weapons, reoccurring nightmares, you know, living the dream of doubling up the damage on a transform damage. Or sorry, transforming the damage and doubling it up with the recurring nightmares, or just nightmares in general. And yeah, now I'm feeling pretty solid. We do get Necropotence turn one. I do want to use it so that I can get to Spell Echo, because I want to be able to Spell Echo turn one as well. We're going to do Frost Weapons on Amelia. And then I'm debating what cards I want to get rid of here. I kind of want to keep Transmission. I wanted to keep the Reigns too, but I thought, like, nah, I just need to draw as much as I can so I can get the Spell Echo. And I figured I could apply a decent amount of rain anyways. At least that was the hope. We did get Cold Snap, so we could play Squall for free. We're at 25 wet charges on both of them, so half the maximum cap. We also are going to be able to play Winter's Orb, or Winter's Knight's Tale, not Winter's Orb, Knight. Can't help but say it wrong, can I? We get a Spell Echo. Siphon Life, I'm starting to realize isn't that useful here. I wish I had some other card instead, so I'm probably going to get rid of that soon. We are up to 28 chill charges. We can also double up on Blizzard. It's a stealth Blizzard, so... And by double up, I mean triple up on Blizzard. We did have enough space in our hand. I was checking for that to see if I could do Spell Echo plus the Dimension Crystal. And we can. Plus we can play a whole lot of other cards because we have the energy thanks to Destiny. And we also just drew Necropotence, so we really have the energy now. And we have the powerful. I could get rid of Ice Palace here, but I wanted to keep the block just in case I needed to survive. Arguably, though, I should have just gotten rid of Ice Palace. Ice Barrier is also not super useful, though it could have made some cards better. So here I'm just calculating out what's going to be the best for the Spell Sword charges plus the Blizzard. Recurring Nightmare, if you play it for, or since it costs 0, if I add one more repeat to it, it'll act like it costs 1, giving me a Spell Sword charge. So I want to play Eldritch Discharge. I also wanted to make sure that I had the double up on damage. So yeah. Killing the front guy first means that we aren't going to they aren't going to get a bunch of block. We aren't going to take a bunch of damage on turn 1 because the back guy doesn't do a lot of damage turn 1 unless he has a lot of block. Maybe it's vice versa, but either way, yeah, you see even Pummel's doing something there. That was like good 200 damage. They're not going to be healing since the front guy is dead and it's just the start of round 2, so... Killing twins, round 1 again. Been doing that a decent amount lately. I think mages tend to be the best at that, so... Yeah, we get rid of these guys, no problem. I think about Cursonomicons because it's just kind of funny to have a bunch of free curses in your deck, and especially if you could enchant weapons yourself. But I thought, no, I think the decks are pretty good as is, and I don't want to like mess with their flow too much. Siphon Life also is just kind of funny. Vampirism is what we pick up on Zek. We pick up the Hate, Unrelenting Resentment on Navalea, just doubles her passive, makes her a bit more damaging if she's lower health, it doesn't really matter. Here I go for, I wasn't sure what I want to do with Evelyn, but Glass Cannon is what I'm going to take because all damage done by plus 60% is very fun. And then I wasn't sure if I want to take Time Paradox or Unlimited Blades, but it turns out I think Time Paradox is much better. Destiny is showing up again, so we can get a purple Destiny, meaning Amelia is going to have a very cheap deck. It also means that we can't pick up another ring on her. So I am thinking about what rings and stuff I want to pick up on everybody else here. I wanted to pick up a good armor on Zek, so I pick up Frostguard. It means that he'll potentially apply a little bit more chill. He'll at least be immune to it as well. I pick up the plus 12% resistances, like All-Seeing Eye ring on Navalea, so she's just going to be a lot more tanky. And then I think about it for a bit, what I wanted to level up on Evelyn and Amelia. We get another frost immune dude. I don't think I can take this fight if they're all super fast and I'm slow, so I just don't go for it. Maybe I should have experimented and tried it out. Thanks to the duality and the purple citadel, we're able to play, or it costing 7, that's why it being purple is kind of decent. We're able to play Citadel turn 1, so we have a lot of block. I'm not too worried about the fight at this point. If we can kill even just one of the enemies, I think we won't really take any damage. We can also just flash freeze one of the enemies that are most damaging, so I do that. Thankfully, the front guy being chill immune doesn't matter too much because he has very poor cold resist to begin with. Also, with the amount of block we have, Winter Orb scaling with block is doing really well. Now, I do not kill any of the enemies, surprisingly, so I kind of messed up on that a little bit. But like I said, because we had Citadel, it doesn't really matter too much. Plus, we're able to heal up on Navalea with second wind, so now we're looking pretty. I don't think there's too much they can do to us at this point, because they're all going to be slow. I mean, thankfully we also have slows for the front guy as well, because he's pretty fast. And being immune to chill is really rough. We fought a lot of immune to chill enemies. I felt like the run was somewhat unlucky, especially with the route changes I had to go for the second act. But overall, I felt like our luck generally was pretty great because we got all these purple blizzards. Winter's Orb is, again, kind of good with even Evelyn because she's going to be getting block per every cold spell she plays. She won't have as much as Amelia, but Navalea is at least applying a decent amount now. So, should be pretty good. We're able to remove Zek's Death's Door. And then, yeah, this is the last chance to really make the decks better. I know I can at least upgrade Last Stand to cost 0. I wish I had a battle plan in Navalea's deck, but like, you know, that's a common sentiment, right? I just could use battle plans more often. Flash Freeze I'm getting rid of now because they're going to be pretty useless in the fights to come. Like, you could use it on a clone and it might be okay, but it's not like really what you're looking for. Especially if you want to try saving your pets by killing the wizard turn 2 before he goes. It's possible. It's just very hard. But thankfully we are frost damaged, so I thought maybe there's a decent chance of it. We do think about getting rid of massive visibility, but overall I didn't want to think too much anymore. It's towards the end of the run, so getting a little bit tired. We are going to go for the discount. We get it just by drawing a single blizzard. Everybody else got 0 cost cards. It was kind of hilarious. I was like, man, I'm gonna lose, and then all of a sudden get the discount. So very lucky here. We can upgrade Last Stand, thankfully, to have things cost 0. Means now that if we get Citadel on a different turn, or we get one of our Last Stands in hand, there's a good chance we get Citadel or at least some trenches for cheap. And by cheap, I mean 0. So that's the hope. Here's our last purple blizzard. So I think we got 4 overall offered to us, which is just outstanding. And at this point, like, I didn't need it. It wasn't going to be great in Zek's deck, but like, how could I say no? So I definitely take it. It's just great. We are able to get a Last Stand there. It's played for somewhat cheap. It at least gives us some block. Zek is healing with all the damage he does, plus he heals 5% of his HP anytime he plays any card. So I was able to attack into a lot of the thorns with him, which was good for Evelyn and Amelia, because they were going to have a tough time attacking into all those thorns otherwise. I love how this is like supposed to be an easy challenge, but for some teams this is just like the most difficult thing. Now thankfully Amelia is going to be able to apply a lot of block to herself by applying Frost, thanks to Feyborg scale. So I actually should be pretty set to attack into the enemies with blizzards, even though they have a lot of thorns. You can see I'm blocking just enough, and triple blizzards enough to get the job done. Alongside all the frost and wet charges they already had, we just heal up before the final fight. Go with Amelia's option here because I've never seen it. You know, Princess's 16th birthday. How could he kidnap her? So mean. But yeah, now it's just the final boss time. I'm gonna take a little break, drink some water, and have the decks play out. As you can see, I specifically don't have Navalea speed up any of the rest of the team there. I wanted her to be able to block, but I didn't want the team to go before the clones do, because I needed to be able to slow them all down. My plan was to kill them all before the before they get to go, so they went to do anything. And since we applied chill, I had full confidence I was going to be able to do that. Yeah. At this point, I felt like I was pretty confident in how much damage I could do turn 1. We are able to get the Blizzard. These turns are relatively complicated. Playing the 3 Blizzards is really fun. I had to make sure to play that Eldritch Discharge first, because if I didn't, the frozen enchant weapons would have fallen off before it, and I wouldn't have gotten the extra damage on Frost with it. So we are doing a fair amount of damage. The clones are pretty much dead, so I'm not worried about them anymore. Like, Zek's probably going to kill them by playing a few books, or at least get close. And yeah, now I think I can just focus Hanshek. Our AoE is still really good, as well as our single target damage with Winter's Orb. So we focus him down as much as possible. My goal is to try and kill him if I can. Chances are slim, but at least we have the blue shatter in Evelyn's deck, so she can deal a decent amount of damage based off of their frost. We are able to apply enchant weapons once again to Amelia. And Amelia can really go off if she gets to 5 spell swords now, because she can put all her vanish cards back into her deck. So we have 5,654 HP to go through. And yeah, we're gonna get through it. Thanks to Recurring Nightmares and the enchant frost weapons, that did the good 1,500 damage by itself. We have Necropotence to recharge on all our energy. Thanks to Destiny, our cards are really cheap, so everything was really slow there. We did shuffle all our Vanish cards back into our pile, so now we can just draw into them yet again, and they are reduced by 3. So yeah, we have, including the copied purple blizzards that, by the way, the ones that were costing 0 from the Spell Echo and the Dimension Crystal. So yeah, shuffling those 0 cost blizzards back in the deck, we had more than enough damage to finish off Hanshek. I think Amelia could have done like 8,000 damage to him alone, and that just felt fantastic. I'm feeling very good about my chances against this final boss here. I did have to do it twice. This is going to be just the second showing. I tried to fight it without playing any of the Doom cards, and then I just like kind of messed up and I died hilariously, because I was being really lazy about how I forgot to calculate the 5 spell swords, and I just let myself play cards, and then I accidentally triggered the 5 spell sword before I wanted it to, where I could have played a lot more Vanish cards first in Amelia's deck, and that ends up being the way to go. Zek's turn is all about support, just applying as much wet and frost as he can, as well as giving any buffs or bonuses he could as well. And then, of course, Evelyn is doing a very similar thing, but trying to do damage on top of that. She can apply frost weapons to both herself and Amelia, which is fun. And we get Spell Echo turn 1, which has pretty much been like happening every time, because Necropotence is awesome, and giving her draw is also awesome. So yeah. I figured doubling up on Blizzard means we're probably going to get the kill. There's an argument for going for Shatter or Winter Orb, but yeah, the Blizzard's going to do the job. We'll get through that clone eventually. I don't play Eldritch, or I don't want to play Eldritch Discharge, but because it will, what's it called? Not have the same damage bonus of enchant weapons or frost weapons, but we get a good 3,000 health off turn 1. I'm feeling solid about that. We also get him before he goes in, or we slow him down enough so that we can get him before he goes into his frost resistance phase. Not that it's going to matter too much, because he just has so much chill on him, he's just going to die. Unfortunately, Amelia is going before both Evelyn and Zek, so she doesn't get it supported as much. But very fortunately, a lot of her cards are super cheap thanks to Destiny, and we can play all the Mage Vanish cards first, and then we can draw into them with Necropotence. We just need to get to 5 spell swords, so I'm calculating out how to do that. I need to play 2 more cards that cost energy, Unstable Power being one of them. I can even vanish some of the cards in my hand right now, just because. If I vanish them, I'm going to put them back in my deck anyways. Oh man, is this the messed up fight? No, this is the right fight. There we go. yeah, now we shuffle our Vanish cards back into the deck, and we're going to be able to draw them next turn. I figure I could probably kill them next turn just as easily. And fight's going pretty well. Evelyn's not going to do nearly as much damage as Amelia, but she's still going to be putting in her fair share of work. I don't have the energy to do both Shatter and Winter Orb, but I choose Winter Orb because it just did more damage overall. We were also able to make everybody invisible if we wanted to just like have less damage be done to us and have no Dark Chime shuffled into our deck. I could maintain the invisibility on Zek, but instead I go for the damage because I figure I could kill him faster that way. I have a Blizzard in hand. I can't like just say no. Plus I could have Necropotence go for Amelia and give her just a really strong draw and energy turn next turn, so even if she did get Dark Chimed, we were going to be okay. We had a lot of blocks, so I wasn't worried about it. Amelia is also up to like 400 block by herself now, thanks to both her card in deck and just Navalea getting some really solid cards off. I don't have a spell this turn, so I can't really apply any more vulnerability, but this is definitely going to be his last turn. He's at 6,000 health. There's pretty much no way I don't kill him. Even with his frost resistance, he's at negative 95%. We have a lot more rain cards in Zek's deck than I possibly need. I could have gotten rid of more of those now that I think about it. Guess that wasn't where the majority of our rain was coming from anymore, but I didn't know. And yeah. We have all the 0-cost Vanish cards that we had previously in Amelia's deck, and she's just, yeah. I could have killed probably like a good 4,000 more HP off of him there. But that's it. That's the end of the run. Full cold run. Didn't get to pull it off to the degree I would have liked. Definitely got blocked. You can see how many attempts I had here. It was quite a few. But I'll go over all this items and cards I had at the end, of course, because, you know, it's fun stuff to see. And thank you very much for watching. I had a lot of fun with this run. It was great trying out the new character. I'm really enjoying the new DLC so far. It adds a few new paths that I can potentially take. One thing I wish is that they weren't random and they just always were on the map, so I could plan for them rather than, you know, maybe hoping to get them. You see Amelia really did carry there. Zek did a good amount of damage as well, and Evelyn did a good amount of damage too. But yeah, overall very fun. Dimensional Crystal really came in clutch. I can only imagine how strong Mirror of Cassandra would have been on that build, and I'm excited to try out more runs with Amelia. I'm definitely going to be doing one for the next week's episode as well, because it's just a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you did make it this far, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, but appreciating it anyways. Thank you very much, and goodbye.